Hi, it's Sally-Shakti, your visionary writing guide, and welcome to Tarot and Astrology for Visionary Writers from Monday the 6th to Sunday the 12th of November 2023. And it is officially Samhain. It is now, well, as of tomorrow, Tuesday the 7th of November, it will be astrological Samhain, the sun at 15 degrees of Scorpio. So that means that the sun is now midway through, making its way midway through the sign of Scorpio. It is exactly halfway between the Libra Autumn Equinox and the Capricorn Winter Solstice. So we're exactly halfway now between those two quarter quarter festivals, and we call these the cross quarters: Samhain, Beltane, Imbolc, and Lammas, which bisect those quarterly seasonal, the cardinal signs when the seasonal, a new season is initiated. What we feel in the cross quarters is the shift between seasons. We're beginning to experience that shift in the northern hemisphere between autumn and winter, or specifically Samhain means the end of summer. So we're beginning to experience the end of summer, moving into the winter half of the year, the dark half of the year. And in the southern hemisphere, it's Beltane. And again, that axis is being really activated at this time, 15 degrees of Scorpio to 15 degrees of Taurus. Here in the northern hemisphere, 15 degrees of Scorpio is Samhain, and 15 degrees of Taurus is Beltane, and they are opposite each other on the wheel of the year. They are opposite cross quarters, midway between autumn equinox and winter solstice, and then midway between spring equinox and summer solstice for Beltane. And in the southern hemisphere, it's the opposite. And so as I am experiencing Samhain here in the northern hemisphere, my friends in the southern hemisphere are experiencing Beltane. We've got that opposition on the wheel of the year. But astrologically, there's a real significance to these degree points at the moment, a real activation. So we've got the sun at 15 degrees of Scorpio, which is not only the astrological point of Samhain, it is of course also directly opposite the astrological point of Beltane. And this year, both Mercury and Jupiter went direct at 15 degrees of Taurus. Sorry, went retrograde at 15 degrees of Taurus. So that 15-degree point, 15 degrees of Taurus, has been activated several times this year. Mercury went retrograde. We had Beltane activation. Jupiter has gone retrograde, all happening at 15 degrees of Taurus. And now the sun at the astrological point of Samhain is directly opposite that 15-degree point, that Beltane point, 15 degrees of Taurus, and reactivating again through its opposition that degree point in Taurus. These 5 to 15 degrees of Taurus in your chart is being super activated this year, because if you'll remember from a couple of weeks ago, when we had the Taurus lunar eclipse, that occurred at 5 degrees of Taurus, which is the exact degree point that both Mercury and Jupiter go direct. So Mercury already has been retrograde and direct and moved on from Taurus. Jupiter is still retrograde and will go direct later, I think in December, at 5 degrees of Taurus. So we've had activations at 5 to 15 degrees of Taurus several times this year. We've had, as I said, Mercury go direct, Beltane, Jupiter, so Mercury retrograde and direct, Beltane, Jupiter retrograde, Taurus lunar eclipse, Samhain, and then Jupiter going direct at 5 degrees of Taurus. So that's 6 activations of those degree points, those exact degree points. 5 degrees and 15 degrees of Taurus have been and will have been activated 6 times in this year of 2023. That's pretty significant. And so if you find 5 to 15 degrees of Taurus in your chart, you will know that that house or that aspect of your chart is getting some real deep reworking and some really deep activation. And we know as well that in recent years, Uranus has already passed through 5 to 15 degrees of Taurus and completely restructured and brought in new possibilities, new unforeseen shape and structure to those degree points in your house, in your chart, 5 to 15 degrees of Taurus. So this week feels like a week that is deeply activating. We have the Samhain point, the veil between the worlds is at its thinnest. You may find that you are receiving stronger, clearer, more frequent downloads, more channeling in your visionary writing and creative practice. And you may also find that you are being drawn back to an activation around things that have happened earlier this year and things that are still playing out, because Jupiter will be, let's check it, Jupiter will be going direct literally on the 31st of December at 5 degrees of Taurus. So we still have the rest of this year playing out those energies. And then, of course, Jupiter will travel back again towards 15 degrees of Taurus in the first part of next year. So we are activating and reworking and reconfiguring energies that have been present with us throughout the whole of this year and that have been playing out in our lives and in our charts in various different ways, perhaps feeling stuck sometimes, perhaps moving forward and backwards. We've been really reworking this area of your chart and of our charts. What feels positive in relation to that right now is that Mercury this week will be entering Sagittarius. That feels kind of, yeah, there's action there, there's forward motion, it's fire. Mercury will be inspired. Mercury will be expansive in Sagittarius and will be being ruled by Jupiter, who is still there retrograde in those degrees of Taurus. But it feels like Mercury is going to light something up for us that we hadn't been able to see earlier this year when Mercury itself was retrograde at those degree points of Taurus. We also now have, as of, I think Saturday just gone, Saturn direct in Pisces. Now, Saturn retrograde in Pisces has again been reworking a lot of our energies that have been with us the whole of this year. I've mentioned that degree point in Pisces a few times this year. So 0 to 1 degrees of Pisces has been activated several times this year. Let's just check it out. There was the Pisces new moon. Have I got the date for that here? Yeah, 21st, around the 21st of February, we had the Pisces new moon. Or was it the 21st of March? All right, let me look. Let me just go way back. February. It was 20th of Feb. 20th of Feb, we had the Pisces new moon at 1 degree of Pisces. And then in March, On the 19th of March, Saturn came across 1 degree of Pisces. Saturn entered Pisces on the 8th of March and was hanging out there at 0 and 1 degrees of Pisces in March. Then, so that's 2 activations at 0 to 1 degrees of Pisces. Then Saturn goes retrograde at 7 degrees of Pisces in June and comes all the way back to 1 degree of Pisces, that we had Saturn at 1 degree of Pisces from late September through to early October. Saturn then has just gone direct at 0 degrees of Pisces and will cross over 1 degree of Pisces again from late November into early December, and we'll be passing through the exact degree points of the Pisces new moon around the looks like the 4th or 5th of December. So let's see how many activations we've had at 0 to 1 degrees of Pisces this year. We've had Pisces new moon, we've had Saturn entering Pisces, we've had Saturn go direct and then pass over that point again. So Saturn retrograde and then Saturn direct. So 4 activations of at that 0 to 1 degrees of Pisces this year as well. This year, and you may know from other sources and from your general feeling, I follow a tarot podcast with Lindsay Mack. She's been talking about this year as the Chariot year, because Chariot is the number 7 card in the major arcana, and 2 + 2 + 2 what even are we on? 2023. 2 + 2 + 3 is 7. So that gives us the Chariot for this year, and it's been a year of rebirthing, it's been a year of liminality, it's been a year of leaving behind one state of being and not yet being rebirthed into the next phase of what we're moving into. It's been very, very sticky this year, and you might feel that with the astrology. We've had 6 activations at 5 to 15 degrees of Taurus, 4 activations at 0 to 1 degrees of Pisces. There has been, and that's been really the whole of this year, so much back and forth, so much going back over the same areas, going back over the same material, reworking, restructuring, everything, remaking. And we don't know yet what we're moving into. We won't know yet until really Jupiter then goes direct and carries us forward with that expansion and that possibility into early 2024. But what we might get this week is a sense of what's awakening as Mercury enters Sagittarius, and we get that spark of illumination, inspiration, and forward momentum for what we are beginning now to birth into our new world that's emerging. Also this week, the Moon and Venus are going to be very close together. You might see them close to sunrise for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. Again, what we know from experience, or what I've been experiencing this year, when the moon is very close to one of the planets in our solar system, especially a personal planet, we feel the energy of that planet more deeply in our own personal energy field. Now, remember as well, Venus has been through her own rebirth and retrograde this year. Venus is changed. She's now the morning star. I've been seeing her there before sunrise in the mornings. Venus has been reborn in the sign of Leo at 20 degrees of Leo, and is now making her way again through and around the zodiac. Again, she's going to meet up with the moon for a few days this week, and that's just as she enters into Libra as well, a sign that she rules. And of course, she is very much present in these energies that we're feeling at the moment, the energies of the eclipses, the energy that is still playing out in Taurus, which she also rules. And we're going to feel again that reborn Venus energy in our own energy field and in our own soul calling. What is the purpose that is awakening in us? And Mercury might help us to ignite that as Mercury moves into Sagittarius this week. So this feels like a potent week, not only because it is Beltane astrologically, and the veil is thin, and we may be receiving additional, more powerful, more frequent downloads and channeling in your visionary writing and creative practice. But there is also a lot going on astrologically that kind of connects some of the dots for the whole of this year, taking us back to earlier in the spring, moving us forward to what's coming as we close out this year and move into next year. So it feels significant. And of course, then we finish the week on Sunday with the dark moon in Scorpio, preparing for the new moon in Scorpio on Monday, which also feels like it is still bringing forward these energies of the eclipse with it. And it's at 20 degrees of Scorpio. So it's very close to that portal point of Samhain at 15 degrees of Scorpio. So that portal remains open this week, particularly so during the dark moon and the new moon, as then we have this energy converging at that point of 20 degrees of Scorpio, which will be opening up that dark moon portal for rebirth. So a powerful and significant week this week for rebirthing your practice in a way that feels exciting, motivating, inspiring, and also with Venus very strong in our energy fields, nourishing, validating, affirming, and abundant. These are all energies that we can open ourselves intentionally to receive and to bring in as part of our practice and as part of our daily lives going forward now. So let's see which of the cards wants to come through. We have the King of Cups. Okay, great. King of Cups. King of Cups is reminding us this week to be clear in our emotional boundaries, to be clear in our emotional containment, the cup, the chalice, our energetic boundaries. The cup is the holder of the liquid, the container of our emotional bodies. So how can we be intentional in our setting of boundaries, both emotionally and energetically, as we move through this pivotal week and into what wants to come forward through us in a much more intentional and nourishing and abundant way. What has been undone and reworked in you several times throughout this year? What are the narratives that can no longer stand, that can no longer inform your, or that have been informing our unconscious decision making, that are ready to be released, especially with that Scorpio new moon? We get the opportunity to release those narratives that have been thoroughly reworked and ready to release. And the King of Cups reminds us in this time to hold our emotional integrity and to hold our energetic body, our energetic boundaries. There is a lot going on in the world that is distressing and upsetting. We may be feeling lots of emotional intensity, grief, uncertainty, fear. How can we hold ourselves both lightly and lovingly through this time giving ourselves the compassion, the nourishment, the self-validation that we need, and preparing ourselves to move forward and step into greater power and possibility as we begin to close out this year and set the seeds for the year ahead. Samhain in the ancient traditions was the beginning of the new year, the end of the old year and the beginning of the new year. I'm really curious about what it means when we shift our narrative away from the linear life, birth, life, death narrative to a more cyclical death, birth, life narrative, because Samhain invites us into that narrative. If Samhain is the beginning of the new year, of the year to come, and we begin that year in the dark, we begin that year in the tomb of the womb, or the tomb and the womb, we first must go into the darkness, go into the death of what has been before, and then sow the seeds in that germinative and generative darkness for what we want to plant and harvest and bring to fruition in the year ahead. Those seeds are sown now. As we move into the darkness, we begin to sow the seeds of what we want to come. And we can ask for and receive the support, especially this week, of Venus and Mercury and Jupiter, as Jupiter continues to roll out and move towards going direct at the end of this year. We can also ask for support from Saturn, who is now direct. All of these energies are beginning to show us what is becoming possible now that we have released and reworked so much of our lives in the year that we have experienced. So thank you so much for being here with me in this video and in others. In the spirit of sowing the seeds for the year to come, I want to reveal my intention for 2024. I will be sharing with you on this channel interviews and writing conversations with writers, creative visionaries who I hope you will find really inspiring for your practice. So that's coming in 2024. I'm really excited. I think we've got some really great talks and topics lined up for you already, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. So that is currently in the germination stage, or at least in the gestation stage, and I really look forward to sharing that with you in the year to come. So I'm wishing you a blessed Samhain if you are here in the northern hemisphere, a blessed Beltane if you are in the southern hemisphere, and I'm sending you lots of love.